Yo YouTube, what's going on? It's HIGHMMA and today we are here to discuss the upcoming UFC fight night. We've got motherfucking Anthony Hernandez versus Michel Pereira. This is going to be a badass fight. And also today we have to discuss the recent bantamweight news. Lots of stuff going on in the title picture down there. So we're going to talk about that as well. Just before we delve into the video, I want to just explain what's going on in this picture on screen. This is actually a representation of me punching in Rigo's bitch horse face. Now, if you don't know who Rigo is, he's another MMA YouTuber who does some really weird things on stream, and I'd love to make a video just exposing this guy for how weird he is. So if you all want to see that, let me know. But I just wanted to put this here just to let you all know that we're not fucking with Rigo over here. And if any of his fans see this, go let him know in his live chat. HIGHMMA wants those hands. But anyway, let's get into today's video. The first fighters that we are talking about are these that you see on screen, and you can see I've given them some Dragon Ball Z looking shit going on with the eyes. I just thought it looked really cool when I was making the thumbnail, and now I'm just addicted to it, so you're going to see a little bit more of this in the video. Fuck knows why, but we've got Almabayev, we've got Jake Hadley, we've got motherfucking Rebellis de Spain, my favorite prospect at heavyweight. We've got Kyler Phillips as well. We've just got some sick prospects on this card that you need to keep your eye out for. So we're going to take a little 5 minutes, between 5 and 7 minutes at the start of today's video just to highlight these fighters, talk about what they've been up to recently, and explain my reasons why I am picking them. So let's not fuck around with our dicks on our palms. Let's get straight into the first fight. The first one we're talking about is Rebellis de Spain. Now, this weekend, he's going to be fighting Austin Lane, a previous NFL player. So I think we all know that Rebellis is just going to absolutely brutalize him like he did in his first fight. Now, I'm not sure who the dude was he was fighting in this fight, to be completely honest with you. Just some blob at heavyweight. But after that fight, a lot of people were saying he could go on to do massive things in heavyweight. I think he can still do big things, not exactly massive, but then he goes out there, fights Waldo Cortez Acosta, and gets wrestle fucked, and then everyone switched up on him. Oh, Rebellis is shit, blah, blah, blah. And I don't like it when fighters do that, because Despain really does still have potential for heavyweight. Like, have you seen how athletic this guy is? Of course he does. You know, look at that first KO. He's a Taekwondo champion. He had like 3 fights and they had a combined fight time of like 34 seconds. Don't give my boy any shit. He's going to go out there, brutalize Austin Lane, and then he's going to be back on track. He's going to go out there and brutalize motherfucking Shamil the Blob Gaziev. Then we'll see a Sergey Spivak fight. I don't fucking know. But I'm backing him to beat Austin Lane, bro. You can't tell me someone that came out of the fucking NFL is gonna beat a Taekwondo Olympic champion, bro. Get the fuck out of here, man. Hell nah. I'm rocking with Rebellis, bro, what the fuck? I'm rocking with Rebellis all the fucking way. Not much more to be said. What are you gonna do? You gonna pick an NFL player, or are you gonna pick the Taekwondo champion? That's what I thought, motherfuckers. Plus, look at this guy. He looks like a fucking Mortal Kombat character. I think he looks fucking sick. So I'm picking Rebellis. Let's get on to the next fight, motherfuckers. Because the next fighter we are talking about is Jake Hadley. Now, 2 things I want to say before I get into this. 1, I went way too crazy with the glowing eyes thing. And 2, I just checked Instagram. Why is Victoria's Secret putting trans models on the catwalk? What the fuck is going on, man? You know what? Let's not even get into that. Let's stay focused on Jake Hadley. So, this guy last fought Cowan Loughran, I think his name is, and he didn't look amazing in the fight. Don't get me wrong, he definitely didn't lose, but he went to decision. Kind of a stinky fight. Cowan Loughran looks shit as well. Jake Hadley's taken losses before, but I think he's looking not too bad, and I think he's going to go out there and beat his opponent, Cameron Smotherman. Now, if you look at Smotherman's record, he looks really fucking good. He's had a flying knee finish, Anaconda, but these aren't in the UFC. He's making his UFC debut here, if I'm not wrong. Now, honestly, if I'm real with you guys, I'd probably prefer to see Smotherman win, just because I don't really find Hadley that entertaining, blah, blah, blah. But I always feel a bit awkward picking a debutant in their UFC fight. I know I'm kind of contradicting my Asakura pick, but that's besides the point. I just want Smotherman to win so we get a little bit of excitement rather than a boring UK fighter, because, you know, I like the UK fighters. I always want to support them because I'm from the UK, but when there's a boring one, I don't necessarily want to get behind him too much. So we're hoping Smotherman for the win, but like official pick, I'm going to pick Hadley by decision, just because that's what I can trust this motherfucker to do. But let's keep stepping through the card. The next fighter we are talking about is Almabayev. Now, this is a fighter I am actually a big fan of. Bro hangs out with Rachmanov. I just think this guy is kind of chill. He's always dripped out on fight week. I love this fucking guy, man. He is a bit of a decisionator though, but he just doesn't lose. That's why I'm picking him going into this fight. The last finish that he had was over Ode Osborne, and you can see it on screen. Ode Osborne recently had a good fight against that guy who was screaming at the press conference at UFC Noche. Can't even remember his name now. But yeah, so impressive performance for Almabayev. Hopefully he goes out there and finishes his opponent, Mateusz Nicolau. Now, don't get me wrong, Nicolau has been finished before. He's riding a 2-fight loss streak, if I'm not wrong. But he's not to be slept on. Like, don't forget, he's beaten Matt Schnell. Now, I know Schnell is just chinny as fuck, but he's a ranked fighter, and he's beaten Manel Kape before, which is a pretty impressive win to say that Manel Kape has beaten the guy who's about to fight for the belt. You know, I hate to use MMA math in these kind of situations, but I just want to point out that Nicolau isn't to be slept on, but I think that he is going to get finished by Almabayev. I think he's going to get finished on the ground. I think Almabayev's going to find a rear naked choke in round 2. If not that, he's going to take it to decision. But either way, Almabayev wins this fight. If you want to make some easy money, bet on Almabayev, boys. Nothing more to be said. Let's keep rolling through the card. Like I say, you know, with these fighters right here, you got to think this is a fight night. These fights aren't too big, but the fighters themselves can be big. So I want to be swift with my breakdown of them. I just want to highlight them so you all know about them. But we don't need to do some fucking 40-minute breakdown of Mateusz Nicolau versus Almabayev. So if you're wondering why I'm being so speedy about these fighters at the start, that's why. But anyway, let's stop yapping and let's move on to the next fighter, because he is Kyler Phillips, a sick prospect at bantamweight. He's rolling off of a win against Pedro Munoz. Not a bad win at all. He's a ranked fighter. And also, in the past, he's beaten Song Yadong, a fighter that we're going to be getting into in not too long. And honestly, I'm liking the look of Kyler Phillips. I've not taken too much notice of him yet, but I will be now, especially after this card. And he's going to be fighting Rob Font, who hasn't exactly looked the best recently. You know, he's been made a bit of a fool out of by fighters like Figueiredo and Sandhagen. Now, don't get me wrong, he's a pretty alright kickboxer, but he's just one of those fighters where they're in the rankings, but they're just mid, you know, they're not doing it for the division, and eventually they're going to find themselves outside the rankings, and they're not going to come back. He's 37 years of age, he is over the hill, and this is the decline of his career, and when you're on the decline of your career, they just so happen to match you up with sick prospects like Kyler Phillips to finish you, and I think Kyler Phillips is going to find a finish here. I can see him getting Rob Font on the ground, finding a good position, and honestly just ground and pounding him until the ref steps in. I don't necessarily think he's going to finish him, but I'm picking a TKO, ground and pound, round 3, or a decision. Remember, he's rolling off of 2 decision wins here, so it is a bit crazy to pick a finish win, but you know me, when I make my predictions, I like to be a little bit crazy with it. But that's all of the prospects that we got to talk about. Now let's get into the main event, Hernandez versus Pereira. This is a sick fight, honestly. Hats off to the UFC for putting together such an exciting matchup. Finally, we're seeing some good fights. Now, I know I'm saying that as if we don't always get bangers, but I just don't, you know, usually we don't see these kind of prospect versus prospect fights. Now, let's not get into that shit. Let's focus on the fight. Who am I picking? I'm picking Hernandez. Now, I know that Michel Pereira is looking sick. He's got the crazy style. He's doing backflips in the octagon. He's doing it all, man. He's got the capoeira techniques. He can do anything. But can he deal with Hernandez's grappling and his pace? I don't know, man. We saw him out there with Kopylov, who is a sick contender, a very respected fighter at middleweight. Some of the best body kicks in the game, if not the best body kicks in the game, if we're being realistic. And Anthony Hernandez went out there, weathered the storm, got him down, and choked him out in emphatic fashion. It was a sick win. I think he's going to do a similar kind of thing here. I think it's going to be a similar kind of fight. We're going to go into it thinking that Pereira's going to pick him apart with kicks, just the crazy pace and style, and I think he's going to get himself latched into a submission on the ground, round 3, and Hernandez is going to walk away with the win. I think it's going to be a rear naked choke. I think Pereira's going to come in there doing some crazy shit, and I think Hernandez is somehow going to just snatch his ass up, get him on the ground, and choke his bitch ass out. And if it doesn't go that way, it'll be decision, but bro, let's talk about who they fought. We've got Pereira, who's beaten people like Ponzinibbio, Nico Price, Petrosky. You know, not terrible fighters, but not great fighters by any means necessary. But then you've got Hernandez, who holds a win over Kopylov, someone who I think could easily be in the middleweight rankings. He's got a win over Brendan Allen as well. That was before the UFC, don't get me wrong. And Pereira and Hernandez actually do share opponents in the UFC. I'm pretty sure they both fought Marc-Andre Barriol. Don't quote me on that. But listen, Hernandez is earlier in his career. He's had less time in the octagon. And I just think he's coming in fresh. He always game plans well. If you've watched his interviews, he's talking a lot about how he likes to game plan. He's not going out there stupid. And I think that if anyone's going out there stupid, obviously it's Pereira. Now, don't get me wrong. The craziness could get the win for Pereira. If he goes out there and finishes Hernandez, I won't be surprised. But these are two fighters where, you know, their next fight could see them just outside of the top 5 in middleweight. I'm being serious. These are really, really high-level prospects in the middleweight division. And, you know, I don't like to get into stuff outside the octagon, but talking about Pereira, you know, he's been waving around a certain flag that isn't necessarily getting fans on his side. And I feel like Hernandez has a personality where loads of people are going to love him. So let's hope that Hernandez gets the win so we can see a future star in the middleweight division. But even if Pereira wins, his stardom continues because people are already a huge fan of this guy. 31 wins, 11 losses. He's had a load of fights for you to watch and become a fan with. Hernandez has had under 15, if I'm correct. So this is a fighter what you got to learn more about him. And I'm happy to learn more about Hernandez. And I think he's picking up the win here. So that's all I got to say about the main event. Let's get on to the bantamweight news now, though, because we're talking about Umar Nurmagomedov versus motherfucking Song Yadong. What the fuck is going on here, man? After the Sugar Sean and Merab fight, it should have been set in stone that Umar was next up for the title shot, and I think that's what the UFC wanted as well. That's why they were putting Umar on the fucking fan cam and shit, you know, because they wanted Merab to say, Umar, I want you next, brother. You know, I work so hard for this, man. I kind of sound like Pantoja there. I don't know what the fuck was going on, but you know what Merab's like. And then, you know, Umar's probably going to be in the crowd and say something like, hey, smash you, brother. You know, like that kind of thing. You know, hey, smash. You know, like that classic little Dagestanese shit. It would have been fucking sick, and I was really, really hyped to see this fight next. But no, I opened Instagram to see Song Yadong is fighting fucking Umar. You know, you had no problem throwing him straight up there in the rankings to fight Corey Sandhagen from a double-digit ranking, but now you're making him fight the 8th ranked contender, is it? Or the 7th ranked contender who's coming off of a loss? What? Why? Why? Has he not earned the title shot by beating the guy that was gonna get the title shot next? Or am I fucking missing something? Did I miss that Corey Sandhagen fight? Did I miss the 50-45 in the Sandhagen fight? If it was a split decision scrub win, then yeah, I would understand. But Umar dominated that fight. And if anyone was to make an argument that Corey Sandhagen was dominating or won or anything like that, please debate me. Because Umar showed in that fight that he deserves the title shot next. And now we're getting this bullshit before we get to see him face off with Merab. Do we even know if we're going to see that Merab fight ever now? We just don't know. You never know how the UFC is going to go. But if that Merab fight took place, I think we all know what would happen. Merab will get dominated in the striking, as he always does, and he will get not dominated on the ground because Merab actually does have really good offensive ability, but he's not so good defensively. And Umar would absolutely exploit that. And we've not seen it at such a high level yet. Trust me, Umar will probably find the submission somewhat crazy. Umar's a different beast, and the UFC is just putting off the inevitable. Why would you even want to long out the time that we have Merab as champ for? It's annoying, man. And I think, like I said, I think we all know if Merab and Umar were to fight, Umar would come out on top. I'm back with the fucking Dragon Ball Z eyes. Umar is the future champ of bantamweight. He's gonna beat Sean O'Malley. Even though I'm more of an O'Malley fan, that I know that's how it would go. Umar is a really good MMA fighter. He's got the grappling. He's got the striking. He's got the clinching. He's got it all. You know, Sean is one of those people where he's got all of the striking, not so much of the grappling. You've got Merab, who's got all of the grappling, not so much of the striking. We want well-rounded MMA fighters as champs, like Dricus du Plessis, like Islam Makhachev, like Ilia Topuria. This is the new era of champs that I've been talking about recently, man. Umar Nurmagomedov is a new era champ. Don't give a fuck. I'm gonna franchise this shit, bro. Don't care. Umar all the way. HIGHMMA is backing him. But you know what's gonna happen now. I'm gonna wrap up the video here. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you're all having a good night, day, evening, whatever the fuck. And you know what I'm gonna say. You don't have to like. You don't have to subscribe. Do what the fuck you want, man. But have a good night, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.